sweet potato is better than white potato, but if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic, you don't need any potatoes. Sprouted bread is better than regular bread off the shelf, but if you don't want to be diabetic or you want to reverse your diabetes, you get rid of the bread. Steel-cut oats are better than instant oatmeal, but if you want to not be diabetic, you want to reverse your diabetes, you get rid of the oats altogether. Our next speaker today is going to be Sharon Gore. Sharon has, you've been doing this about 3 months? She's been doing this about 3 months. And I just want her to kind of tell her story because she's been able to just slowly reduce her medication over time. And she's good at tracking everything. And so she can kind of give us some details about that. So Sharon, you want to kind of tell us your story?
When I began my low carbohydrate diet, I had no idea how many carbs that I was eating. You eat things that seem to be good for you, and salad seems to be good for you, but look on the salad package. If you buy the pre-washed greens, it has carbs in the salad. So you can't eat just as much as you want. You have to incorporate it with the other things. I was raised in a home where my dad was diabetic, and mother always fixed good meals for my daddy and us kids. But we still ate potatoes and gravy and biscuits, and those are such high carbohydrates. And it's amazing to think that he watched his diabetes, and my mother was like a watchdog on it, but yet we ate those kind of things. And as I began reading more and more about carbohydrates and being on the program with Dr. Anderson, it's just amazing how I kidded myself about the carbs that were in things. So I've been able to reduce those carbs and seen a marked difference in it.
Let me just mention one thing from your story is that people who are diabetic, they know to avoid sugar. And so that was from your story. You knew you couldn't tolerate sugar, you avoided sugar. But what a lot of people don't know is that the wheat, the oats, the rice, the corn, potato, all of that turns into sugar. It's not just the table sugar itself.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great, because that's exactly how I felt. We'd always been so sugar conscious. I could see my uncle, he ate ice cream, and he went blind because he had diabetes. I'm not saying that the ice cream made him go blind, but when you just compound sugar on sugar on sugar, and he knew he was diabetic. So I watched that and thought, oh my goodness, look what he's eating. So you just need to be aware of all the little hidden places, like he was talking about, the Tic Tacs and things that you think that are just very minimal, but they add up. And I'll go on to, after my knee replacement surgery in February, my blood sugar just went up, and I was taking my medication like I should, and we just couldn't get it down. So my doctor resorted to put me on insulin. Well, I thought that was the end of the world. I didn't want to take insulin. And my blood sugar was in the 200s, and I knew that wasn't good control for me. So I went on insulin, and that was my motivation to start the low carb diet. I had asked Dr. Reeves when I went in for my cataract surgery. I said, he asked me what my goals were, and I said, well, I want to get off of my diabetes medication. He said, I need for you to see Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson and Dr. Reeves practiced together, and so I went to see Dr. Anderson and started doing the metabolic coaching. And so that's what motivated me to start the low-cal, low-carb diabetic.
So how have your insulin requirements changed?
Well, when I began the program, my sugar was 236, and it should have been 83. And my hemoglobin A1C was 8.8. And I haven't had it checked since I've been on the program. It's time right now. And so I know I'll be able to see a marked difference in it. But the readings have gone from the 268, 236 to 121 to 77 after starting this program, and my insulin dosage has dropped from 16 units to 8 units in just the few months that I've been doing this. So see what a difference lowering your carbs can do. Because a lot of times when we're diagnosed with diabetes, we don't think there's anything that we can do except take medication the rest of our lives. And there is hope. There is hope. I've done it. I know what it can do.
So walk us through kind of what you eat on a regular daily basis, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What would be your daily low-carb diet?
For breakfast, we just get kind of a rut. It's easy to get it up and fix it. But we eat eggs and bacon every morning and salad greens. And that's our breakfast in the mornings. And I save part of my breakfast, and about 10 o'clock, I eat the other egg and a piece of bacon. And so that really gives me good energy, and it gets me through lunch. And then lunch, I generally have a boneless, skinless chicken thigh that I baked. We generally have leftovers from the night before. And we eat lots of vegetables. And so my husband stir-fries vegetables and squash and cauliflower, onions, cabbage. We just have lots of vegetables that we eat. And so I save those for lunch. And snack, I have 3 fresh blackberries with some good whipped cream that I make out of heavy whipping cream with a little bit of stevia in it. And you talk about looking forward to 3 o'clock, boy, that's like dessert. And in the evening, we have I have a ground chicken patty that we cook in coconut oil. We use lots of coconut oil because it's so good for you. Also use lemonades on that. They were talking about mayonnaise as opposed to salad dressing. Well, lemonade has 0 carbs in it, so I eat that on my meat. It's just kind of like having a hamburger without the bun. And then we have faux mashed potatoes that I make out of cauliflower and put it in a blender, a food processor, and put butter and salt on it. And that's just like having mashed potatoes. And then I have salad greens, and so that's a total of about 10.68 carbs for that day.
About 10.68. She tracks it very well. But that's important, because for a lot of people who are metabolically resistant, you have to get the carbs at 20, the net carbs at 20 or below. People who struggle a lot of times are people who don't count, and Sharon has done an excellent job of counting. What about eating out? Are there any places you eat out?
We don't eat out very much because we never know what's going to be in the food. And we're pretty particular. We don't like MSG because it doesn't like us. And we just aren't sure of what are the things that they're going to put in the food. One time, just recently, I went out with my daughter and my granddaughter, and we went to Chop Chop. And that was a pretty good plate. It had lots of vegetables and chicken. And it said it was gluten-free, low carb. It said it was low sodium, but I think I got my 2-day supply of sodium that night in that food. But anyway, like I said, we don't go out to eat very much.
And then would you have, what is your number one most practical thing, a real world tool or rule that people can take home with them from this conference?
I think if you would change your mind about carbohydrates, we have used them as such a treat, such a reward to our children. If you'll eat this, you can have dessert. If you'll eat this, and we kind of do that as adults. Well, I've been good. I've seen people that have diabetes and they have a big piece of pie in front of them, and I'm questioning it. And the wife says, oh, he's been real good today. Well, to me, diabetics don't ever get a day off, or a meal off, or a piece of pie off. So I've learned that carbohydrates are poison to me. If you can just think of that, you wouldn't want to put a piece of rat poison in your mouth. You wouldn't do it. And so for me, carbs are poison. And when I started on this metabolic tracking, Dr. Anderson gives us these guided meditation tapes. And so as I go to bed each night, I listen to these tapes. And I realize that this is telling me in my subconscious mind that I don't need the carbs, and they are poison to me, so I don't need them. And there's been so many times lately that I have been, we had caramel corn in the office the other day. Oh, Halloween, they always fix caramel corn, but I did not eat one piece of the caramel corn. I served cake at a wedding. I did not eat any of the cake. We've been to several weddings this summer, and we have not eaten the things that are wedding. So it's been a blessing to me. And
any message of hope to the people here?
well, hope. There is hope. And like I said earlier, when you were diagnosed with diabetes, you thought there was no hope. And maybe I did too. If I be good and take my medicine, then there is hope. But there is other hope if you watch your diet, if you count your carbs, if you be faithful to the things that your body's telling you. If you realize that, oh, after I ate that, I had a headache, I didn't really feel good. I really wanted to go lay down and take a nap. So remember what you ate, and just be conscious of that, and know that there is hope. And I haven't done this on my own. My Father in heaven, my friend, my Savior, has given me the strength and the courage and the energy to do this program for my health. Because I know you can live a longer life, but you don't want to live a longer life if you feel bad every day. So know that you can feel good for that long life that's ahead of you.
All right, thank you, Sharon.